Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be looking at an automatic chicken breeder, cooker, and killer all in one. Isn't that quite fantastic? And of course, it is going to be ridiculously large and very unnecessary, but I think that's just the fun of making redstone. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we start this tutorial, just want to do a quick rundown of how this contraption works. I'm sure most of you know that you put the chickens up here and they will lay eggs, and go down here. This will make the babies, and then this will burn the babies. But it is also very important to note that to block off this area until all of your chickens are adults, or the babies will go in there and drown. Let's go right to the tutorial. So first thing is, if you're building this in survival Minecraft, these are the required materials for it, and the glass can be replaced with any building block. I just think the glass looks cool so that you can see all of the innards. The first thing you want to do is place down your chest on the floor of your house or wherever you want to build this, just so this will kind of be the center point. As you can see, this is somewhat symmetrical, but also not, with the water tube on the side. The first thing we're going to build is the item sorter, and that's just going to go up like this, having a comparator to detect the amount of items. And then we're going to have redstone coming out there and a repeater here with just a redstone torch. And the next thing we are going to have is soul sand. And we're actually going to have a dropper right here so that we can have full efficiency to recycle all of the extra eggs. But I'll explain more about that when we get to the hopper circuit. And you're just going to want to build glass around, or any building block like that. We're not going to go all the way up. We're going to save this for last, because if you are doing this in survival Minecraft, we all know placing in buckets of water is a pain. So after that, we are going to add our hoppers, and they have to be facing very specific directions. This one under the chest should be facing out, and the one right next to the comparator should be facing the opposite direction. And then these two just going into the dropper, and then one going into the chest right there. And next we're going to build our killing cage, which is going to have a half slab on top and then surrounding it in glass. Switch out for the dispensers. Have one there, and then one there. And then just build up to the height of this top dispenser. Next is going to be the cage for our chickens that are going to be laying all of the eggs, and that's just going to be 4 hoppers across, with the first one going into the dropper. And then this one has 3 slabs on it, and we're just going to surround that in blocks of glass so you can see everything that is going on. And then this is where the water is going to be coming out of. And like I said in the beginning, you're just going to want to block off that until you have all of your chickens adults in there that you want. Because assuming the best method of filling this with chickens is throwing eggs into it, which will create babies, or breeding a couple adult chickens, which will make more babies. The next circuit we're going to work on is this red one here, which is going to detect when an egg is inside of this dropper, which we're just going to have a comparator out here, and then having redstone on top of this block, which will send a signal into the observer and fire off the dropper. And then also leading on to this, will be a door. You can use any door, or really a fence gate, anything. Just a door is too high, so it gives for more space. With an observer up like that, and then some stable building blocks, just so the pulses powers this block and then powers this redstone and sends 2 pulses into this dispenser, in which we are going to have our lava. So, in the rare chance that 2 eggs are laid rapidly, repeatedly, one after another, this dropper will get clogged up, so there's an easy fix to that, and that is to just have the dropper fire twice every time an egg is laid. It doesn't really cause any lag, and that's gonna be about it. Have a redstone torch there just for an inverter, and a torch right there so that the observer will make the dropper go off, and right after that, a few ticks later, this redstone torch will. And this doesn't have to be a transparent block, this red concrete here. It could even be blank, but I don't recommend that because this is going to have water in it, and then that's going to flow down and destroy everything. Lastly is going to be our purple circuit, which is going to consist of a old school burnout clock, which this is going to fire off 8 pulses into this dispenser, which is going to throw the eggs and create chickens. Well, there's a chance that it won't. But anyways, yeah, we're just going to kind of make this couch cushion-esque shape out of this. And have a comparator coming out of this. And since these aren't non-stackable items, but they're also not completely stackable, eggs are 16, so once there are 12 inside of the dispenser, it will fire off 8, and it'll have a second 2 redstone output. And having a repeater right there will just cause an update. Any sort of update to a burnout clock will cause it to go off by just placing a block next to it, having a pulse through the repeater, or breaking a block. It'll make it go off. So I maybe recommend putting in the lava bucket last, unlike I did, because anytime you're dealing with lava or water in a redstone contraption, it can break things fairly easily. But we are going to fill this item hopper with 5 eggs, put a 6th one in there, and that will put a placeholder for this, so any more eggs will be dropped and placed into this dropper. One of the last things we're going to do is start filling up our tube with water. And basically it's just going to go all the way up. Be very careful, make sure that you have blocks on all 4 sides of it so that nothing overfills and breaks anything. And then just go up one more time. Fill it up. 1 block like this. And then, depending on where you are on your chickens, break that block and fill up the final one. And that will push the eggs in there. Make sure that at the top of the water is covered, because it will just shoot eggs straight up and over here where they won't really be used whatsoever. Now, because of the update of, I think, 1.9 or 1.10 when they added entity cramming, that if there are too many chickens in here, that they will die through crowding and then drop raw chicken, but that will just go into the chest with everything else unless you have a secondary item sorter for raw chicken. However, this is expandable up the top. You can have hoppers and however many chickens you want expanding all the way over here if you really wanted to. But I've experienced entity cramming with only having about 20 chickens in there. But depending on how much food you need, this thing does produce food fairly quickly and efficiently, But if you are eating loads of chicken every 5 seconds, then you might want more. So that is it. Everything is completed. You're gonna need to build, I should have said this at the beginning, 3 blocks down from your initial platform. And this is going to be 4 by 8 blocks long and very tall. As I say, I'm not about being compact, I just want to make giant contraptions. But before we go, we are going to do a quick test just so you know how it works. You can see it in action. We're going to throw chickens there. Just assume that they're going to all lay eggs because it does take a while. That we're just going to drop a bunch in there. How many are in there? Ooh, that's not good. So I fixed the problem with the circuit right here, and what you want to do is just kind of reconfigure it like this. It's even cheaper, it doesn't even require a repeater anymore. And now whenever you drop some eggs in the dispenser, it now will not get stuck on the infinite redstone loop that the repeater caused previously. So, terribly sorry about that. It was literally working this morning, but I don't know. We'll find out if this still works. Dropping an egg in there. And that seems to work. As you can see, the egg goes from the hopper up the tube, back into the system. And naturally, when these guys grow up, they will actually burn to the lava. Actually, we can demonstrate that right now. Putting in some adult chickens. And now just throwing in an egg. And then you'll have some, in this hopper, some lovely food and feathers. But of course you can always just attach it to the chest without any hopper output, depending on if you want it to go into a bulk storage system. But that's all up to personal preference. So that is the entire tutorial, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoyed, let me know, and have fun with unnecessarily large redstone, and get cooking with your chickens. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.